I am that black guy from 42. The land of the living aren't done with you yet. We have that strong metal shit in my country. That was a terrible Black Panther impersonation. Captain America Civil War, aka Captain America 3, is a follow-up to Captain America Winter Soldier. In this, we follow the catastrophic events that happened in Avengers 2 revolving around Sokovia. Essentially, all the governments of the world are getting these superheroes to, be accountable for their actions under this thing called the Sokovia Accords. Iron Man and Captain America have different opinions on this, and the superheroes are split down the middle, and they must choose a side and fight! Guys, stop, don't do this, please. For those who don't know, this is Marvel's 13th film in their MCU, their Marvel Cinematic Universe, and if you've seen a previous Marvel film, then you know what you're getting yourself into going into this film. Not to mention, the Russo brothers who were responsible for the Winter Soldier, they were back for this film, and that got me really excited because I like that movie a lot. Not only did they take the superhero of Captain America and make it super serious, but they also managed to make a great film revolving around core themes of friendship. Civil War pretty much takes that and improves on it because at its heart, guys, this film is about vengeance and friendships between these characters. Now I'm gonna go dive into the things that I thought were really effective and maybe not the most, that I liked and really didn't like. The action. Honestly, hats off to the Russo brothers because you guys really killed it. I thought this film had some of the best action sequences I think I've seen in any Marvel film and an action movie in recent memory. Now that I'm thinking about it, the Russo brothers really took what they learned in the previous installment of the franchise with the Winter Soldier with that action and really even stepped up even further for this one. The results are shown. Like, it's so good. Oh my god. And this isn't even just for Captain America himself. Like, it's a Captain America movie. Maybe they can only direct his kind of action. Like, no. All the characters' action are really well done. Black Widow's action beats in the beginning of the film, they were freaking phenomenal, dude. Some people had some problem with it because of the shaky cam. I personally liked it a lot. The chase scene between Bucky, Cap, and Black Panther. So good. I think I was like the only person who was like, look at that product placement, because Captain America was just like, they're running pretty fast. I could catch up, but look at this brand new Audi 2016. I'll drive that. Huh. Anybody who's seen the film or even a TV spot trailer knows the airport action scene, and it was really cool. But for me, my favorite action scene was at the end of this film. It was... From the motivation as to why they were fighting, the shots of them paying homage to the comic book, from the way it was choreographed, it was just so freaking good, guys, really. And as you all know, guys, this is Civil War. This is a large-scale film, and a lot of these characters we've been introduced in this MCU so far are in it, excluding like Hulk, Thor, and Nick Fury. But what I liked is they actually kind of addressed that somewhat in the film. This film could have easily been overstuffed with characters like Iron Man in the mix, and introducing a big character like Black Panther and Spider-Man. There was a lot of things they had to do in this film, but it didn't feel overstuffed. All these characters' time on screen was split to a good amount, and when they were on screen, they had their time to shine and they killed it. Something that I liked in this film was the character and their relationship. So I'm gonna go dive into some of these characters and why. The Wakanda King himself, Black Panther. He was awesome. T'Challa is probably one of my favorite characters in this movie. From beginning to end, they developed and fleshed out his character really well. He's this badass character from a badass country who's just as rich as Tony Stark and as strong as Captain America, and he's just so awesome on screen. His suit looks really cool. They also did a solid job at introducing him into this universe in an interesting way. From this, I'm really excited to see a solo film directed by Ryan Coogler. So Scarlet Witch and Vision, they got a lot more screen time than I expected they would have. You can see this like really weird relationship developing between these two characters, and like they're so powerful, but yet they're attracted to each other. Something I liked was how Vision played the voice of reason on Tony's side, obviously because they made him and he kind of was with him the whole entire time. He didn't bounce between sides. But we also see him in some action bits and in civvies, and I thought those are great. Touching on Scarlet Witch for a bit, I thought she was much better in this film than she was in the previous one. You understand the character a little bit more because of what happens in the film. The thing that we've all been waiting for, guys, Spider-Man. I am not gonna lie, guys, I was a little bit nervous. Despite being excited, I was a little bit nervous about getting Spider-Man on screen. We've had, our different incarnations of him with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and Marvel has him in their sweet embrace, and I don't think they can mess up. And they didn't, guys. They really gave us Spider-Man. He was perfect. He was like everything that I wanted in a perfect Tom Holland package. The suit was stellar, the quips were on point, Aunt May was hot. What else? Something I did like was the specific relationship between Tony and Peter. It was actually really interesting, and I think it's gonna play out in the future films a lot, so interested to see how that goes. Another thing that I liked about Spider-Man was, they could have easily, put him into this thing and made him like the center point and just try and get a lot of people to come into the theaters because, oh, Spider-Man's in this. But he was in for a limited amount of time, but when he was there, he shined, and I thought he did a really good job. In the small amount of time that we had, we got his old suit, his powers, his new suit, we got Aunt May, we got the idea that he's really, really poor, and more, and I just thought they really nailed it. Like, I don't know what else to say. Thank you, Marvel, thank you, Kevin Feige, thank you, Tom Holland, you did really good. I'm excited for Homecoming. Alright, now time for my boy Ant-Man. Paul Rudd was a better Ant-Man in this film than he was in his own film. So Ant-Man was restricted to minor parts in this film, but literally every single time he was on screen, guys, he did it perfectly. Like, really. He had some of my favorite comedic parts in this film. Engaging with characters, like, just thinking about it, like, I laughed because it was that good. This actually got me more excited for his next solo film coming out in, like, 2 years. Like I mentioned about Winter Soldier, in this film, at the core, it's about this friendship and the relationship, and that's between Bucky and Cap. This film is really about Bucky and Cap and how far he'll go to save his only friend, really, that he has from, you know, when he was kind of in his youth. When this film focuses solely on Bucky and Cap and their dynamic, which is what I really think this film is at its heart, you know, that's when it shines the most. And the last highlight of characters for me is Robert Downey Jr., guys. He did a really good job as Iron Man in this one. Performance-wise, he did it good as always, but in terms of the motivation for his character, guys, it really came across. He really has a lot as a character to deal with because obviously what happened in Sokovia with Ultron, he's responsible for that. In addition, something that I liked about the character development of Iron Man in this film was the whole dynamic with Pepper Potts. I thought this aspect of Tony's character in this film was really smart because it made him that much more vulnerable when it came to the actual Civil War and fighting with Cap. It really put the character off balance. Something that's really good in this film that Marvel's known for is their humor. Something that I liked about this film was, even though it was fairly serious for the whole thing, you know, the humor, when it was hitting, it hit perfectly. And it wasn't forced like I thought Thor the Dark World was in its humor, but it was just right. Most notably, Ant-Man had my favorite parts during the airport scene in terms of humor, also Spider-Man. And what caught me off guard was Falcon actually had a lot of the more subtle, you know, just random jokes in the film that I thought worked well. Now I'm gonna go talk about the villain in the film. When anyone talks about Marvel's villains, it's usually their weak point to most people, and they say things like, "Oh, well, Marvel's, it's a fun time about the movie. Well, Marvel villains suck, right? They're not good." While I can agree, guys, a lot of the villains in the past Marvel films haven't been the greatest, guys. I thought the one in this film was solid. So the villain in the background working everything is Baron Zemo. Take out the Baron, sorry, it's just Zemo, I forgot. But most people were upset. They're like, "Oh, how come Zemo doesn't have his purple sock on his face? What, he's not even Hydra, he's just a dude looking for revenge?" Yeah, and it worked. I wouldn't say that Zemo is like a traditional villain where you have a fight in the third act, but he succeeded in his plans. I actually like Zemo because he was more subtle and thought out things thoroughly, and he did XYZ to get his end goal, and it was very effective. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this character in the future Marvel films, maybe Phase 4, Masters of Evil. So the storytelling in this film, I thought the storytelling in Civil War was fairly tight. Another thing is they marketed this film as choose your side, and it has Captain America in the title, so you'd think that, you know, maybe Captain America's side would be, you know, more heavily influenced than Tony's, right? That's not the case. You know, they really do well at portraying both sides of the scenario from almost every single character, from the villain to other characters like Black Panther to Tony and Cap. You really get an understanding of all their sides, so when you're left to choose, like, who would I be with, you're just like, The film is morally great from the characters, but you understand their motivation. I didn't really see the plot twist coming at the end of this film. If you guys did, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about that, because I was just like, wait, why is that there? Oh. With regards to cinematography, guys, I thought a couple shots in this film looked really nice, from the action sequences to the establishing shots. They had some really nice looking stuff in this. And the last thing to wrap up the good things I thought about this film was it's a ton of fun. Like, I was watching this thing and I was just so excited because, like, I have 2.5 hours of new MCU to just digest and have fun with, you know? At the end of the day, guys, this is a film you can just watch, enjoy, and just see these superheroes just going at it. And lastly, guys, this film is really gonna have big ripple effects on ongoing MCU films and whatever they're planning to do, because it doesn't end off. Everything isn't peaches and rainbows at the end of this film, so this is gonna have a lot of ramifications going forward in the MCU. Now I'm gonna go talk about some of the things that made this film awful. I'm just kidding, but some of the things that I thought were the most effective, where I was kind of just like, the sudden switch in tone. So before making this review, I actually had the chance to watch Civil War 2 times, guys. Watch films more than once sometimes when you need to. I noticed this much more the second time around. The film starts off super serious and sort of on the same tone that Winter Soldier did, but then as we're going towards, you know, this airport scene, things just suddenly shift like that, and it becomes more of the routine Marvel that we're used to with a comedy, etc. It's subtle, but it was much more noticeable when I saw it the second time around, like looking at the film as a whole. It works fine, but it takes a little bit from the movie for me. Another thing that I was kind of iffy about was previous films. This is the first actual MCU movie where you have had to see the previous installments to get the full experience and understanding of these characters and feel the full experience why they're fighting and why you feel the way you should. Like on my second viewing with my cousin, I literally had to give him like a full 10-minute rundown as to why this is that, this is that, this is that. And although they do fill it in pretty well in the film, you know, some people might be left missing some things. The pacing. I'll be honest, guys, the first hour or so of this movie moves fairly slowly after the Lagos mission, of course. It's all set up and it's necessary, and I understand that, but it does take a little while for things to get rolling. And the last thing that I didn't like in this was probably the actual Civil War aspect of Civil War. It kind of felt rushed. This movie's more or less about Cap, Zemo, Iron Man, and Bucky, and I kind of felt like they had the Civil War aspect with the Accords just so they could have that big fight scene at the airport. And this connects back to the tone with the first act being, you know, the more serious style, and then the middle portion with the airport scenes being more lighthearted, and then we go back to the third act where it's much more serious and dark when the film ends. And one last gripe that I did have with this film is the aspect of it being the third Captain America film. This is the ending of the Captain America trilogy. You had the first Avenger, then you had the Winter Soldier, then you have this finale. And I didn't really get the finale of this trilogy in it. You know, we didn't have everything come full circle with, you know, Captain America's journey. We had things left open-ended, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. In the end, guys, Captain America Avengers 2.0, I mean Civil War, had everything that I wanted in it. From action to story to villain, I thought this film hit all points. It also makes big changes that will be felt in the future MCU films to come. I think the Russo brothers did a good job with Captain America Civil War, and when you think about it, they had to make this Captain America movie, but at the same time had to introduce, you know, characters like Black Panther and, you know, Spider-Man, so good job to them because they did all those well, even though it might have hurt, you know, ending Cap's trilogy the ideal way that some people might have wanted it. Nevertheless, guys, I think they knocked it out of the park, and I'm gonna give Captain America Civil War a 9 out of 10. This was a long ass review. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a like, subscribe, and if you liked it that much more, you can also share it. What did you guys think of Captain America Civil War? Let me know down in the comment section below. Who's your favorite character, your favorite scene? What do you think's gonna happen in the future? Let's talk. You guys can also follow me on my social media handle, links down below. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Peace. Here's your shield, Mr. Captain America.